my beloved child of God, stop for a moment. Before you continue scrolling, before another sound fills your mind, before another distraction takes your attention away, I want you to understand something important. There are moments in life that appear ordinary on the outside, but heaven marks them as unforgettable. There are moments when your heart feels a strange pull, when something inside you whispers, "Pay attention. There is a reason you are here," and perhaps, that is exactly what you are feeling right now, because this message did not reach you by accident. Not because the words themselves are powerful, but because sometimes God uses a simple moment to remind a tired soul that they have never been forgotten. My child, Archangel Michael stands as a symbol of courage, protection, and strength, and the message being placed before your heart today is this. God is preparing a new chapter for your life, a chapter that begins after the seasons that tested you, a chapter that comes after the nights when you wondered if your prayers were being heard. A chapter that arrives after the moments when you looked around and felt like everyone else was moving forward while you were still waiting, but, listen carefully. The waiting season was not empty. The silence was not meaningless. The closed doors were not proof that God abandoned you. Sometimes the greatest preparation happens in places nobody sees. Before a seed becomes a tree, it spends time hidden beneath the soil. Before a sunrise appears, the world must pass through darkness. And before God brings something new into your life, He often prepares your heart to recognize it. Because what is coming is not just about receiving a blessing, it is about becoming the person who can carry it. You have survived moments you thought would break you. You have carried burdens you never spoke about. You smiled in front of others, while fighting battles privately. There were nights when you questioned your purpose. There were moments when you asked, "God, when will my season change? When will something finally happen for me? When will I feel like I am not walking this journey alone?" And heaven heard those questions, every silent prayer, every tear you wiped away when nobody was watching, every time you chose to continue even when giving up seemed easier. None of those moments were wasted. My child, sometimes God removes what is temporary, because He is making room for what is lasting. Sometimes He allows certain people to leave, because their place in your story was never meant to be permanent. Sometimes He delays something, because receiving it too early would have caused more pain than joy. You may have looked at your past and seen disappointment. But heaven saw preparation, you saw rejection, but heaven saw protection, you saw delays. But heaven saw a divine timeline unfolding, and now this is the message that Archangel Michael represents. Do not lose hope because your story is not finished. There is still a chapter waiting to be written. There is still a blessing you have not experienced. There is still a connection, an opportunity, a moment of transformation that can change the direction of your life, but before that moment arrives, something must happen inside you. You must stop believing that your best days are behind you. You must stop carrying the identity created by your pain. You must stop allowing yesterday's wounds to decide tomorrow's possibilities. Because God does not define you by what happened to you, God sees who you are becoming. The world may have judged you by your failures. People may have walked away when you needed them most. Some may have underestimated your value. But heaven does not measure you the way the world does. Your worth was never determined by someone else's opinion. Your future was never controlled by someone else's rejection. Your purpose was never cancelled by someone's inability to understand you. My beloved child, the person God sends into your life, the opportunity He opens, the blessing He creates, it will not arrive to complete a broken person. It will arrive to walk beside someone who has grown stronger through every storm, because God does not only prepare blessings, He prepares people. And perhaps that is why you have gone through what you have gone through. Perhaps that is why certain relationships ended. Perhaps that is why certain doors refused to open, because the version of you that needed those things is not the same version standing here today. You are different now. You understand more, you see more clearly, you value what truly matters. And that growth is important, because when God places something meaningful in your life, you need wisdom to recognize it, you need patience to protect it, you need faith to believe it. My child, do not ignore the quiet transformation happening inside you, that peace you are searching for, that hope you thought was gone, that feeling that something greater is ahead. Do not dismiss it. Sometimes the greatest miracles begin as a small whisper inside the heart, a whisper saying, "Keep going, do not give up. You are closer than you think." And today, I want you to remember this. The chapter that caused you pain is not the final chapter, the season that brought tears is not the end of your stories. God is still working. God is still moving. God is still preparing, and what He prepares cannot be destroyed by what tried to break you. So stay with this message, not because these words control your future, but because sometimes your heart needs a reminder of the hope it already carries. Because sometimes the greatest change begins when you finally believe. You are not forgotten, you are not abandoned, you are not walking alone, a new season is beginning, and the question is not whether God can open the door. The question is, will you be ready when He does? My beloved child, there is something you must understand before moving forward. Sometimes God does not answer a prayer by immediately changing your circumstances. Sometimes He answers by changing you first. Because the blessing you are asking for requires a heart that is ready to receive it. Think about a person carrying a heavy bag for many years. At first, they may not even notice the weight because they become accustomed to carrying it. They learn to walk with it. They learn to smile while holding it. They learn to pretend it does not hurt. But eventually, the burden becomes exhausting. And perhaps that is where you have been. Carrying memories you wish you could forget. Carrying disappointments you never expected. Carrying questions that have no easy answers. You wondered why certain people entered your life only to leave. You wondered why promises were broken. You wondered why you gave your heart, your trust, and your effort, yet still ended up feeling alone. But my child, hear this deeply, the things that left your life were not always losses. Some things had to leave because they were blocking what was meant to arrive. Some people walked away because they could only accompany you through one chapter, not the entire story. Some doors closed because they were leading somewhere you were never meant to stay. You may have cried when those doors closed. You may have begged God to reopen them, but years later, you might look back and realize, that door was closed because God was protecting me. The pain you felt was real, the disappointment was real, the loneliness was real, but so is the restoration that comes after it, and this is where Archangel Michael's message becomes powerful. Do not mistake the battle for the ending. A soldier does not become strong because they never faced conflict. A person does not develop wisdom because everything was easy. Strength is created when someone chooses to continue even when life becomes difficult, and look at you. You are still here. After everything, after every disappointment. After every moment when you thought you could not continue. You are still standing. That means something. It means your story still has purpose. There is still something ahead that requires your presence. There is still something God is building within you. My child, perhaps you have been asking, why did I have to wait so long? Why did I have to experience so much pain? Why did others receive what I was praying for? But what if the waiting was not punishment? What if the waiting was preparation? What if every experience was shaping your heart for something greater? Because the truth is, a person who has never experienced hardship may not understand someone else's pain. But a person who has walked through storms develops compassion. A person who has cried develops kindness. A person who has been broken learns how to value what is genuine. And perhaps that is why your journey looked different. Perhaps God was creating depth inside you. Not just giving you something temporary, but preparing you for something meaningful. My beloved child, there is a difference between something that simply appears and something that is truly aligned with your purpose. Not everything that arrives is meant to stay. Not every opportunity is your opportunity. Not every connection is your connection. Sometimes the greatest protection comes from what God refuses to allow into your life. You may not understand it today, but one day you may look back and say, now I understand why it had to happen that way. Now I understand why I had to wait. Now I understand why my journey was different. Because clarity often comes after the storm has passed. And right now, there may be things moving behind the scenes that you cannot see. There may be conversations happening that you know nothing about. There may be paths being prepared that have not appeared yet. The same God who created the sunrise before you ever saw it is capable of preparing blessings before you ever recognize them. But there is something you must do. You must protect your heart from hopelessness. Because hopelessness is one of the greatest battles a person can face. When someone loses hope, they stop expecting good things. They stop believing change is possible. They stop opening themselves to new opportunities. They build walls around their heart, because they are afraid of being hurt again, and I understand why. When someone has been disappointed many times, protecting themselves feels natural. But my child, do not allow yesterday's pain to imprison tomorrow's possibilities. A wounded heart can heal, a tired soul can become strong again, a person who lost their way can find direction again. Your past may explain your scars, but it does not determine your future. God is not finished writing your story. There are still pages waiting. There are still moments you have not experienced. There are still blessings you have not encountered. And when the right moment arrives, you will understand why the timing mattered. You will understand why rushing would have been dangerous. You will understand why certain things had to happen first. Because sometimes God is not saying, no. Sometimes He is saying, not yet. Become ready. Trust the process. My beloved child, remember this: the greatest gifts are not always the ones that arrive quickly. Sometimes the most valuable things require patience. A strong foundation takes time to build, a beautiful creation takes time to complete, and your life is still being formed. Every lesson, every challenge, every victory, every moment you chose faith over fear, all of it is becoming part of your testimony. So when doubt whispers, nothing will ever change, answer with faith, my story is still being written. When fear says, you will always feel alone, answer, God is still working. When your past says, you are too broken, remember, you are being restored, because the same God who carried you through the hardest seasons is the same God who can lead you into a new beginning. And my child, there is a reason your heart feels connected to this message. Maybe you needed a reminder. Maybe you needed encouragement. Maybe you needed someone to tell you, do not give up before the breakthrough. Do not walk away before the answer. Do not close your heart before the new chapter begins. The next season of your life will require courage. It will require faith. It will require you to believe that something beautiful can still happen. Because sometimes the greatest miracles do not begin with a sudden change around you. They begin with a quiet transformation inside you, and that transformation has already started. You are becoming stronger, you are becoming wiser, you are becoming ready. So keep moving forward, keep believing, keep trusting. Because the story God is writing for you is bigger than the chapter you are currently living. And the moment you thought was delayed may become the moment you realize it was being prepared all along. Stay ready, because what is coming will require the new version of you. My beloved child, there comes a moment in every journey when a person must decide whether they will continue carrying the weight of the past, or finally step into the promise of the future. And perhaps this is that moment for you. Perhaps you have spent too long looking behind you, looking at what was lost, looking at who left, looking at the opportunities that never happened, looking at the prayers that seemed unanswered. But today, heaven reminds you of something powerful. Your future cannot be built by constantly standing in your past. There is a reason your eyes are being drawn toward what is ahead, because the next chapter of your life will not look like the previous one. The same person who entered the storm will not be the same person who walks out of it. The same heart that was once broken is becoming a heart filled with wisdom. The same soul that once questioned everything is learning to trust again. And my child, this transformation is important, because when God sends something meaningful into your life, you must be prepared to recognize it. Many people pray for blessings, but overlook them, because they are expecting them to arrive in a certain way. They expect a perfect moment, a perfect situation, a perfect sign. But sometimes blessings arrive quietly. Sometimes they appear through unexpected conversations. Sometimes they come through a person who does not match the image you created in your mind. Sometimes God answers a prayer differently than you imagined because He sees what you cannot see. Your eyes see today, but God sees tomorrow. Your mind sees the current situation, but heaven sees the entire journey. My beloved child, there may be someone who is also walking through their own preparation, someone who has faced battles you know nothing about, someone who has cried tears nobody saw, someone who has learned lessons through pain just as you have, because sometimes two people must grow separately before they can walk together. Two stories must develop before they can become one powerful testimony. Two hearts must heal before they can truly understand each other. And perhaps that is why things took time. Perhaps that is why certain connections did not last. Perhaps that is why you felt like you were waiting longer than everyone else. Because timing matters. A seed planted too early cannot survive the wrong season. A flower forced to bloom before its time cannot reach its full beauty, and your life is the same. There is a divine timing behind things you cannot yet understand. My child, do not compare your journey with someone else's. Comparison steals peace. You may look at another person's life and wonder, why did they receive their blessing before me? Why did their path seem easier? Why am I still waiting? But you do not know their entire story, and they do not know yours. Every person has a different journey, every person has different lessons. Every person has a different purpose. Your timeline is not behind. Your timeline is unique. And what is meant for you does not need to be chased with fear. What belongs to your purpose will meet you at the right moment. My beloved child, Archangel Michael's message is not only about what God may bring into your life. It is also about who you are becoming before that moment arrives. Because a new season requires a new mindset. You cannot enter a peaceful future while constantly fighting battles from your past. You cannot receive love while believing you are impossible to love. You cannot embrace new opportunities while convincing yourself that failure is all you deserve. You must begin seeing yourself differently, not through the eyes of those who hurt you. Not through the words of those who rejected you. Not through the mistakes you made. See yourself through the eyes of grace, through the eyes of mercy, through the eyes of a God who still believes your story has value, because it does. Your life has meaning, your experiences have meaning. Even the chapters you wish you could erase have shaped the person you are today. The pain taught you, the waiting strengthened you, the challenges prepared you, and now, instead of asking only, "Why did this happen to me?" begin asking, "What is this preparing me for?" Because sometimes the hardest seasons are not destroying you. They are developing you, my beloved child. There are signs of change that begin internally before they appear externally. You may notice yourself becoming more peaceful. You may notice that things that once controlled your emotions no longer have the same power. You may notice that you are no longer willing to accept what once caused you pain. That is growth, that is healing. That is evidence that something inside you has shifted. And when you change internally, your external world begins to change too. The choices you make become different, the people you allow close become different. The opportunities you recognize become different, because you are no longer the same person. You have learned, you have matured, you have survived. My child, there is something beautiful about a person who has been through storms and still chooses kindness. There is something powerful about someone who has experienced disappointment and still chooses hope. There is something extraordinary about someone who could have become bitter, but chose to become better. And perhaps that is you. Perhaps your greatest testimony will not be that you avoided every storm. Perhaps your greatest testimony will be that storms came, but they did not destroy you. They shaped you, they refined you, they prepared you. So when the right moment arrives, you will not be desperate. You will be ready. You will not be searching from a place of emptiness. You will be receiving from a place of wholeness. You will not need someone else to prove your value. You will already know it. And that changes everything. My beloved child, remember this: the right people do not come to complete your identity. They come to walk beside the identity you have already discovered. The right opportunities do not create your purpose. They reveal the purpose that was already within you. The right season does not make you valuable. It simply allows others to see what was always there. So, do not lose hope. Do not believe the lie that your best days are gone. Do not believe the lie that because something did not happen before, it will never happen. A delayed blessing is not a denied blessing. A closed door is not the end of your journey. A difficult season is not your final destination. The story is still moving. The pieces are still coming together, and even when you cannot see the entire picture, trust that God sees the masterpiece. My child, continue walking forward, continue choosing faith, continue becoming stronger. Because the person you are becoming is ready for the life you have been praying for, and soon you will understand something that was hidden from you before. The waiting was not empty, the silence was not rejection, the journey was not wasted. Everything was leading you here, to this moment, to this new beginning, to the chapter that reminds you. You were never forgotten, my beloved child. Now you have reached the part where your heart must become still. Because sometimes the most important messages are not the ones that create excitement. They are the ones that create understanding. And today, I want you to understand this. Your journey was never forgotten. Every chapter had a purpose. Every lesson had meaning. Every tear carried a message. Every moment you thought was the end was actually preparing you for something beyond what you could see. You may have wondered why life did not unfold according to your plans. You may have questioned why certain prayers took so long. You may have looked at your circumstances and thought, God, do you still see me? But the answer has always been yes. Even in the silence, even in the waiting, even in the moments when you felt completely alone, you were never invisible, you were never forgotten, you were never outside of God's care, my child. Sometimes heaven works in ways that cannot be immediately understood. A farmer does not dig up a seed every morning to check if it is growing. He trusts the process, he waters it, he protects it, he waits, and then one day, what was hidden beneath the ground appears above it. The same is true for your life. There are things growing beneath the surface, there are prayers developing answers, there are opportunities being prepared, there are connections being aligned. There are doors that have not opened yet because the timing is still being perfected, and when the right moment comes, you will look back and realize, I thought nothing was happening, but everything was happening. My beloved child, do not underestimate what God can do in a short amount of time. One conversation can change a direction. One opportunity can change a future. One encounter can introduce a new season. One moment can become the beginning of a completely different story. But before that moment arrives, you must release the fear that has been holding you back. Fear tells you, what if it never happens? What if you are always alone? What if your dreams are impossible? But faith responds, what if something beautiful is closer than I think? What if this season is preparing me for something greater? What if the pain I experienced was creating strength I never knew I needed? My child, you have already survived things once thought you could not survive. Remember that. You have already walked through storms. You have already faced uncertainty. You have already experienced moments where you thought you would not find your way again. But you did. You are here. That means there is strength inside you that you have not fully recognized yet. There is courage inside you that has been developed through every challenge. There is wisdom inside you that came from every lesson. And that is this why the next chapter will be different, because you are different, my beloved child. The blessing coming into your life is not meant to replace your relationship with God. It is not meant to become the source of your identity. It is meant to be a reminder of what can happen when you continue walking with faith. The right people, the right opportunities, and the right moments are gifts. But your foundation must always remain stronger than circumstances, because when your foundation is strong, you are no longer destroyed by change. You are no longer controlled by fear. You are no longer defined by who stays or who leaves. You understand that your value existed before anyone recognized it. Your purpose existed before anyone believed in it. Your future existed before anyone could see it. My child. There may have been times when you felt like your life was moving slower than everyone else's. But remember, a tree does not grow faster because another tree grows taller. A flower does not bloom late because another flower opened first. Everything has its own season. And your season has its own timing. Do not rush what is being carefully built. Do not force what requires patience. Do not settle for something temporary, simply because you are tired of waiting. Because sometimes the greatest mistake people make is accepting less because they became exhausted from hoping for more. But your heart deserves what is genuine. Your life deserves what brings peace. Your future deserves what aligns with the person you are becoming, my beloved child. The message today is simple. Keep your heart open, keep your faith alive, keep moving forward. Do not allow disappointment to convince you that nothing good remains. Do not allow past wounds to convince you that love, happiness, and purpose are no longer possible. Your story is still unfolding. The same God who carried you through yesterday is already present in tomorrow. And perhaps the greatest miracle is not only what is coming toward you, perhaps the greatest miracle is who you are becoming while you wait. A stronger person, a wiser person, a more compassionate person, a person who knows their worth, a person who no longer begs for what does not recognize their value, a person who walks with confidence because they understand that what is truly meant for them will not require them to lose themselves. My child, there will come a day when you look back at this season, you will remember the uncertainty, you will remember the questions. You will remember the moments when you almost gave up. And you will smile because you will finally understand. The delay was not denial, the silence was not abandonment, the journey was not meaningless. Everything was shaping me, everything was preparing me, everything was leading me toward a new beginning. So today, release the weight you were never meant to carry forever. Release the fear, release the disappointment, release the need to control every detail. Trust that what belongs in your life will arrive at the right time. Trust that your prayers are heard. Trust that your story still has beautiful chapters waiting, my beloved child. If your heart feels tired, rest. If your faith feels weak, rebuild it. If your hope feels small, protect it. Because even the smallest light can overcome the darkest room. And your light is still there. It was never taken from you. The world may have challenged you, life may have tested you, people may have disappointed you. But your purpose remains, your future remains, your hope remains. And this is your reminder. Do not give up before the next chapter begins. Do not close the door before the new opportunity arrives. Do not stop believing just because the answer took longer than expected. Sometimes the greatest blessings come after the longest waiting. Sometimes the strongest people are created through the hardest battles, and sometimes the moment you are ready to surrender is the exact moment when a new beginning is about to appear. My beloved child, walk forward with faith, walk forward with courage. Walk forward knowing that you are not forgotten. Your story is still being written, your future is still unfolding. And the chapter ahead may become the one that makes you understand why you had to walk through everything before it. Because what was meant to break you was actually preparing you, what was meant to delay you was actually developing you, and what felt like the end was only the beginning. Stay hopeful. Stay faithful. Your new chapter is waiting.